Mewtwo is a glass cannon character who can rack up KOs just as fast as he can lose them, and does best when he's playing a bait and punish playstyle. He has a great deal of mobility and offensive tools that can help him be a very explosive and flashy character, albeit one that is quite complex and polarizing to play as or against. Given this, success for Mewtwo hinges on how smartly he picks and chooses his spots in the neutral, in order to minimize his chances of getting overwhelmed. When he's able to properly use his well-ranged attacks, versatile movement, and powerful projectile to their fullest, he has a chance to cause serious mind games for his opponents, and greatly push his advantage once he gets a hit. Don't you dare underestimate him, or you're bound to get confused really quick.
Fool.
Great speed on the ground and in the air. Tricky and versatile movement. Significant utility in all special moves. Solid ledge trapping ability. Able to edge guard very well. Good and consistent kill power. Strong throws that either kill or help rack up damage. Great and flexible recovery. Answers to zoning with Confusion and Shadow Ball. Solid and unique combo game. Low survivability due to being a lightweight. A big and awkward frame, which makes him very vulnerable to being pressured and comboed. A tail hurtbox problem that can make him get hit in weird and uncommon spots, and forces him to play more cautious than most other characters. Slightly below average frame data. Out of shield options are average and quite limited. Has trouble getting back to the ground due to being a floaty character. Despite having good range, he lacks disjoints due to certain hitboxes and his tail hurtbox. Mewtwo's jab is a single hit that quickly transitions into a rapid jab, and while it is not his most used option in the neutral, it still comes out at a decent speed at frame 5. His rapid jab is the most damaging one in the entire game, usually being able to deal around or over 20%, which can be good to use in situations such as punishing spot dodges, testing your opponent in the shield, and tech chasing. And if they miss the tech, you can do a jab block for a chance to tack on more damage, or even take the stock. Another good way to use rapid jab is to roll to have your back toward the ledge and wait for a regular get up or get up attack. If you catch them with it, you have a chance to do around 40% even if they SDI, and if they happen to DI wrong, this can do a max of up to an absurd 60 to 70%. Although you will lose stage control or get punished if you guess wrong or miss the timing, the payoff for getting cheap damage like this can be well more than worth it. Like all rapid jabs in the game, however, it's really unsafe when it's blocked and can be rolled behind by most of the casts, so do watch how you are using it. A single hit jab, albeit still not safe at -12, has way less cooldown than the rapid jab, making it much safer to throw out than it. You can use it as a niche mix-up if your opponent decides to stay in shield and possibly throw off their timing, or use this low cooldown to try and bait them. Though as said before, it is still unsafe on shield and should not be thrown out recklessly. Forward tilt is a long-range attack that has 3 different hitboxes on Mewtwo's tail: the inside, middle, and far. The move can be angled up or down, and it's also surprisingly strong, which can be good to use at the ledge. It would generally KO around 100% at the ledge with the strong hitbox, and the threshold goes up about every 15% for the mid and weak hitboxes. Its best use in the neutral is that it's a decent whiff punisher and poking tool due to its range, and it can be slightly better whenever you pivot cancel with it to get extra distance. At early percents, it can be used to put your opponent in niche tech situations, but you will most likely not have enough time to get a jab lock due to it having a bit too much end lag. As mentioned before, you want to be using forward tilt with the intent of trying to get a kill or to punish unsafe approaches. Up tilt is a flip of Mewtwo's tail that can be used as a combo starter at low percent. It has a very wide range hitbox that covers Mewtwo's back, which can be good covering the opponent's landings on the ground or platforms. The move does have various hitboxes on it, which can be a bit difficult to know where and how far your opponent will get sent for your combos. Generally, if Mewtwo is facing his opponent, up tilt will send them up and over him, back turn will send them up and away, and hit him with the tip of the tail will always send them straight up, except for if it hits on the ground. You should be able to react to it, but still knowing this can definitely help you with your follow-ups. Up tilt doesn't do much damage on its own, but the fact that it can combo into most of his aerials and be used for mix-up opportunities makes it a pretty good tool to use. Unfortunately, using it as an anti-air can be underwhelming, as Mewtwo's tail will be exposed to being hit and will cause him to lose trades to characters with disjointed hitboxes. It can occasionally work, but it's best not to take the risk in most cases. Down tilt is a sweep that sends the opponent upward, and is Mewtwo's most useful normal in the neutral because of its speed, long range, and low end lag. The hitboxes that help him combo and get going are on the inside and middle of his tail, and this lets him go into a plethora of his moves such as forward air and neutral air. It's best used out of a dash because of the nice range, and it's also good to tech chase with to help extend your advantage. It is unsafe on shield if done point blank, so don't overdo it or you will get punished against a sharp opponent. However, it can be safe around max range, but you will not get much of a chance to combo off of it since it sends your opponent slightly too far, though you will be able to get a dash attack at low percent. Despite this, it still makes it a really good poking tool to test your opponent in the neutral, and this can still be good for putting them in a bad spot as well since they will generally want to avoid the follow-up. Down tilt can hit below the ledge as well, and can even lead to many of his other moves such as forward air, forward smash, and even down air for kill confirms at certain percent windows. Anbil, who is a labber of the character, has a small video showcasing this, plus a graphic of the percent windows, which will be linked in the description below. Characters with frame 1 escape options can get out a few of these setups, but Mewtwo has other moves that can be better for this situation, which will be covered later on in the combo section. Down tilt's general combo utility will also be shown in that section as well. Dash attack is a lunge toward your opponent that is served as a decent burst option. It has a strong and a weak hitbox, with the former lasting for 2 frames and the latter lasting for 9 frames, and it also covers a decent amount of distance as well, making it suitable for whiff punishes and catching landings. The strong hit doesn't have much utility outside of being a kill move at very high percent, which will be around 130 at the ledge if rage isn't included. However, getting the weak hit can possibly lead to a forward air at low percent, but the timing can be tight and your opponent can also DI out to avoid it. Even if you're not able to combo off of it, you will still put your opponent in a disadvantageous position, whether it be above you or off stage. Since dash attack is quite active overall, it is also very useful for tech chasing or catching your opponent retreating, and it even has the chance to cross up on shield against certain characters. Don't rely on this too much though. This move is very committal and it's unsafe on block and whiff. Forward smash is the strongest horizontal move in Mewtwo's kit. It has a decent amount of range and can be angled up or down similarly to forward tilt, which can help cover jumps and 2 frames respectively. The sweet spot is on the tip of his hands, while the sour spot is on his arms, so be mindful of this if you want to get the most out of this move. It is a big commitment to use due to it having a lot of cooldown when it's whiffed or blocked, so only use it for when you have a good read on your opponent or for disable and shield break punishes. It can be safe on shield if done around max range, which can prevent you from getting punished, but it is still slow to come out and overall should be pretty reserved in usage. Up smash is a multi-hitting move that is the fastest of Mewtwo's smash attacks. It has good raw kill power to it, and can also scoop opponents with the initial hitbox that brings them into the rest of the move. Unfortunately, this can be pretty inconsistent because of the initial hitbox being really small and only lasting for 1 frame. Also, if it gets blocked, shorter characters will not get drawn into the rest of the hits, and you will eat a hefty punish due to the insane amount of end lag up smash has. Despite the inconsistencies, it can still be a decent move if used well. If your opponent does something unsafe on your shield, it can be a good out of shield option to get the kill when they're at high percent. Do notice your spacing though. The initial hitbox is not very large as mentioned earlier, and can possibly miss if they are out of range. Up smash can also work as a good anti-air against opponents jumping in due to it being a large, disjointed, and long-lasting move, and you could also use it to tech chase with on platforms. However, do note that it will not reach the platforms on Smashville, Kalos, and Yoshi's Story. This move is very high risk, high reward, so make sure to make it count whenever you go for it. Down smash is a powerful strike toward the ground in front of Mewtwo. While it is pretty slow to come out, it's still its best smash attack due to it having very low cooldown, causing a good amount of shield damage, and being safe to many out of shield options, especially if it's spaced. It can be incredibly good at catching landings, spot dodges, and baiting your opponent to come in unsafely into neutral given how non-committal it can be. Also, since it doesn't have a sour spot, this could make them scared to challenge you given that it will never change a knockback outside of scaling. If you do hit with down smash, it sends at a very awkward angle that could mess up your opponent's DI, which could help you get a stock earlier than expected. Due to the slow startup as stated before, you don't want to be throwing it out too close to your opponent since they can possibly hit you before it comes out, and you could also still get punished on block or whiff if they're fast and sharp enough, so make sure you're at a decent distance from them. Down smash is also one of your go-to moves at the ledge to cover 2 frames, and ledge options such as regular get up and roll. Also, because of the low cooldown and wide area it covers, this can be used with hardly any risk at all, which gives you the chance to bait your opponent. This move is great to use despite its speed, and you will definitely take stock super early with it. Neutral Air is a multi-hitting move that surrounds Mewtwo with electricity and traps the opponent inside. It has a variety of uses such as helping him land, but is mainly going to be used to help you for your combos in neutral. It is perhaps his most complex move due to how it functions, which could cause you to mess up your follow-ups if you're not paying attention. Which side your opponent ends up on is dependent on their DI and Mewtwo's drift, but do know that these characters shown on the screen can fall out if you drift too far in. This move is great to use in the neutral since it lingers for so long, and it can catch opponents who jump, spot dodge, or drop shield too early. Landing it will give you the chance for combo and mix-up opportunities, and it will also lead to tech situations above 40%. While it can be tough to figure out how your opponent will DI, you can still control your own momentum, and if you stop your momentum before fast falling, you'll be able to cover more ground to help you follow up better. If they do end up shielding all of it, you can still be relatively safe to a decent amount of shield options, and you can also try to drift away or cross them up to make it even safer. You don't want to be approaching with it too recklessly though since it lacks range, and it's also not active all the way through, meaning bigger hitboxes will trade with it or just straight beat it out. This move is also Mewtwo's best out of shield option, as it is not only tied for his fastest aerial, it covers both sides of him. However, the downside is that it can be a bit inconsistent due to the small hitboxes, and short characters can avoid it most of the time if you don't catch them in the air. That being said, it is still your go-to out of shield option since it can lead to follow-ups as mentioned before. Something else you can do with neutral air is to do a drag down to possibly extend your advantage. All of the hitboxes have fixed knockback except the last one, meaning your opponent will end up close to you, and this gives you the chance to get follow-ups with a move like down tilt, or even kill confirms it to moves such as forward tilt and up smash. To execute this, you have to delay neutral air during your jump, as doing it instantly will keep them inside the move, but even getting the slightest delay possible will be enough to make the drag down work. It can be difficult to know whether your opponent will end up in front or behind you, and they could also end up being too far away to get any kind of significant follow-up. Another outcome that can happen is that if you get a single hit of neutral air with the foot hitbox, it makes your opponent pop straight up, which can lead into moves like forward smash, up smash, and forward air. This can be very inconsistent though, and following up off of it is something you generally react to when it does happen. If you want more information on the Dragdown setup, a document will be linked in the description below that goes into even more detail on how it works. Neutral air is also great for edge guarding since it stays out for so long as mentioned earlier, and doing a drag down with it could possibly put your opponent low in the blast zone. It could even cause an accidental air dodge from them if they're not ready for when they'll fall out, or put you in a position to edge guard again, and it also has the chance to trade with certain recoveries. If you decide not to edge guard with it, you could choose the ledge trap since it gives you good coverage on multiple options. Despite neutral air being a very abnormal move, it is one of Mewtwo's better tools and most certainly should be used in your play. Mewtwo has one of, if not arguably the best forward air in the game. It comes with the package of coming out at frame 7, having low landing lag, being a combo tool, and a KO move that can be as safe as -3 if done close to the ground. The combination of these makes the move great in the neutral since your opponent will generally have to respect it, and this is because of the multitude of options Mewtwo could do after, even if it isn't properly spaced. With other quick moves like jab and down tilt, using these after a forward air on shield will interrupt shield grabs or other out of shield options that are around the same speed, or slower than shield grabs. Don't assume it'll work all the time though, as they can use faster moves to beat out your attempt at applying more pressure. This is why you want to also mix in defensive options if you hit the shield with it to possibly bait and punish, so make sure to get an idea on how they react to this move. Doing it right out of a jump does leave you open to anti-airs due to Mewtwo being a floaty character and the move not being disjointed, so make sure you try to fast fall with it to decrease the time you're in the air. It can have its uses though, since it can possibly catch your opponent trying to jump, and you can also use it as an out of shield option if they're still in the air. A short hop forward air can even hit most characters standing, but those that are short or have low crouches won't get hit by it, making you have to do a landing one instead. When you do land a hit with forward air, you can get some good advantage off of it since it can be used well in combos as mentioned before, or put your opponent off stage, and you could possibly even net yourself early kills whenever you edgeguard with it. The speed, safety, and range of this move makes it have utility at basically any percent. It should be a staple in Mewtwo's gameplay. Mewtwo's back air is a slow whip of his tail which deals high knockback while covering a wide area. The move has 3 different hitboxes on it: the base of his tail, the middle, and the tip, with the latter being the weakest of the 3. It can be used in niche situations for combos, can hit through platforms, and kills at the ledge around 100%. And though it can be fairly safe on shield, it's too slow for trying to wall out your opponent reliably in the neutral. However, this is great for edgeguarding and calling out reckless jumps due to the good range it has, and landing it will put you in a position to possibly string multiple off stage if they try to do a slow option to escape, or set you up to edgeguard again. This can also be used to hit your opponent through the ledge as a mix-up to help you get back on stage, forcing them to back off of you. And Mewtwo also has a wall jump to help set up for the back air. Keep in mind that you need to be careful with back air in general, because due to Mewtwo's tail hurtbox and back air also having a blind spot below, characters with swords or other disjointed hitboxes will beat it out, reducing its utility overall. It can occasionally be used to help land if your opponent isn't ready for it, but this can be a liability more than anything, and Mewtwo also has better options to land with. Up air is a backflip swing of Mewtwo's tail, similarly to up tilt. It has a lot of similarities to back air as it can call out jumps, deals high knockback to help kill, and can shark below platforms in the stage. Some of the differences, however, are that up air is better at juggling your opponent and covering landings given that it covers more above Mewtwo. If you get a landing up air, it has a lot of combo potential due to the low landing lag, which can lead to some good advantage, but keep in mind that it isn't the fastest move and that you're susceptible to getting anti-aired. It can be rewarding if you get it, but it's something that is situational and should not be spammed too much since Mewtwo's tail will still be exposed to getting hit. Something you can do with up air and combos is a rising double jump, which will help put Mewtwo in a position to stay close to his opponent and combo into forward air. This can potentially lead to a kill confirm off stage to take an early stock, but the window for getting this is pretty small and it is very percent based. Though if you are not in range to get the confirm, it will still give you a mix-up opportunity to where you could possibly go for an air dodge read, or just immediately go for your next option to beat out slower moves or jumps. This move is all around solid to help keep your advantage state going, and possibly score KOs with as well. Down air is a kick toward the ground that is used to get early kills off stage. While it is the slowest out of all his aerials, it is the most damaging one, and just the strongest forward air. The spike hitbox is directly below Mewtwo's foot, and if you land it, your opponent will most likely lose their stock at very early percents due to how strong it is. It can also be deceptively quick whenever you do a drop zone with it, which can possibly catch your opponent off guard if they don't see it coming, and it also has a disjoint as well, making it good for 2-framing. This move is still frame 15 however, so don't be reckless with it since they can just use the jump or delay the recovery to get out of the way and take stage control away from you. This can give you information on how they recover though, which you can possibly use to bait them into a certain option and punish from there. Down air also has niche utility as a combo starter that can follow up into a good amount of his moveset, but it is still slow to come out, making it pretty impractical to start combos with overall since Mewtwo has other moves that do the job better. Before going into Mewtwo's specials, a unique aspect to know that ties into all of them is that immediately after you double jump, inputting a special will let you cancel all of his upward momentum. This can greatly help with his movement options to help keep your opponent off guard, as well as being useful for ledge play. More of this application will be explained in more detail as each special is talked about. Shadow Ball is the most important tool for Mewtwo because of its excellent versatility of being able to be used offensively and defensively. It is a chargeable projectile that when the more it is charged, the more it increases in damage and power, and the charge can also be stored for later usage. You can cancel the charge by either shielding, rolling, air or spot dodging, jumping, or lightly tapping the shield button that will make Mewtwo not go into shield. It can be launched at any time, and combined with the different ways of canceling it, this makes it your main neutral tool since it will always keep your opponent on their toes. Though compared to Lucario's Aura Sphere, it does not maintain a hitbox behind it before it's launched, slightly lessening its utility in a couple of areas, but it still has a great deal of its own applications as well. Shadow Ball can still be used to Empty Hop, B-Reverse, and Wave Bounce with, making Mewtwo's mix-up game with it trickier. And another technique that you can do to add even more layers of mix-ups is the Charge Jump Cancel. This can allow Mewtwo to immediately stop his charge into anything he wants, which can be extremely useful for his movement and landing options. If you want more on this, Beefy Smash Doods has a great video explaining the technique and how to do it, which will be linked in the description below. Shadow Ball does travel at a decent speed, while even going the full length of stages for most charges, and Mewtwo's own speed also lets him follow right behind it, so if it does hit, you'll be able to combo off of it at any percent into basically anything you want, depending on the charge variant. A full charge Shadow Ball can lead to huge damage, doing 30% on its own, and with it being a great combo starter at low percent, and a crazy strong kill move, it makes it a big threat to your opponent that has to be respected. This deals good shield damage as well, while being safe even at point blank, and it can even start to become plus on shield the further away you are from your opponent when it's blocked. Though it will be hard to get block strings, they'll still have to guess what you're going to do next if you decide to run toward them after they block a full charge Shadow Ball. Uncharged variants are also good to use since you can quickly throw out multiple to try and camp and harass your opponent, which can stop aggression or force a defensive option that you can punish. However, they can just simply jump over it if they're not stuck in shield, or reflect it if their character is able to, which can possibly get you opened up or make you lose your stock extremely early. You can combat these respectively by using a jump Shadow Ball or your aerials to try and clip them out of their jump, or send back your reflected Shadow Ball with Confusion, which is a move we'll get into soon. If you decide not to anti-air, just getting them to jump or react in any way even from the charge alone is just as good, and it will help you give information on their habits. Shadow Ball can also be good for mix-ups against opponents who try to air dodge or attack recklessly out of your combos, which can lead to even harder punishes. They can still jump out of this mix-up attempt, but it will still limit their landing options and possibly make them lose stage control altogether. An important note about Shadow Ball is that when you use a mid to full charge variant in the air, it will push Mewtwo back, with the fully charged doing a considerable amount. The recoil from it can be used to create more space from your opponent on stage, especially if combined with the movement options mentioned earlier. Do be careful doing this off stage, because though you could potentially stop your opponent from ledge trapping you, it's possible the pushback can hinder your recovery. Something you can do in disadvantage off stage is to do a B-Reverse Shadow Ball to help you recover, as Mewtwo's high airspeed lets him change his momentum and mix up how he'll get back on stage. If you're the one with stage control, Shadow Ball has great usage in the ledge trapping and edge guarding departments as well. If you're at about roll distance away, you can use it to cover multiple ledge options from your opponent, and a full charge Shadow Ball will even hit below the ledge, making it useful to punish those who wait too long or re-grabs from a distance. Even if you mistime their ledge option, you'll possibly still get the chance to apply more pressure, and it will give you information on their ledge habits as well. Edge guarding wise, using any variant can force an option like a jump or air dodge from your opponent, which could allow you to get a punish from there. If they get hit, it gives you the chance to combo or cover another option, or it can just flat out kill depending on the charge. And you can also fake like you're going to launch it to potentially bait them. Another trick you can do for mind games is to run off the ledge and do a B-Reverse Shadow Ball. This will set you up to edge guard with moves like back air or neutral air, or you can launch a full charge Shadow Ball if they try to recover vertically. You could also jump off the stage backwards to act like you're setting up for back air, then B-Reverse with it to potentially surprise them. If you want to keep it simple, just throwing out multiple uncharged Shadow Balls to harass your opponent can be very effective, and whether it hits or not, it can still be used in tandem with your other edge guarding tools. Shadow Ball is the forefront of Mewtwo's bait and punish playstyle that has insane amount of versatility and conditioning ability if used well, and should be the move to master with him. Disable is a small spark that stuns the opponent on contact. How long they are stunned depends on how much damage they have, and while they can mash to decrease the stun time, doing it at high percent will most likely be ineffective since it is generally guaranteed they will lose their stock. Do keep note that Disable will only work if the opponent is facing Mewtwo, as hitting him in the air will launch them with very weak knockback, while hitting him in their back in any way will have no effect at all. This is also considered a projectile as well, making it prone to being reflected. so do be careful using it against characters who are able to do so. It's also pretty slow to come out at frame 16, making it somewhat difficult to land, but it gives Mewtwo intangibility from frame 10 all the way until the first frame it's active, which can let you beat out attacks if properly timed. It has deceptively good range as well, which can definitely catch your opponent off guard, and there are situations where you can properly use it. It can be effectively good to tech chase with, whether it be on the ground or on a platform, as you can generally cover multiple options with the right read. Other mix-ups you can do is to land with it, punish regular get-ups or get-up attacks, or help you get off the ledge and disadvantage, and you can also even combo into it off of Shadow Ball. The timing to get it can be pretty tricky though, since Disable is pretty slow to come out, depends on the charge of Shadow Ball and the percent of your opponent, but another setup you can go for is Footstool into Disable. This can be a bit difficult to get down at first, but once you're able to get it consistently, it is a deadly setup that can definitely take stocks extremely early. To execute it, you want to short hop to where you're on top of your opponent's head, jump again to get a Footstool, quickly perform a double jump, then input Disable while holding down and away. Here's the setup at normal speed. The reason for holding your control stick at an angle instead of straight down is to prevent Mewtwo from ending up behind your opponent. Also, the characters this will not work on at all are Game & Watch, Ivysaur, and Pac-Man. Obviously, you won't be able to just easily run up and just go for this setup raw, but there are a few situations where you can properly do this. Doing this off of a weak Shadow Ball is the best and most optimal way to go for this setup, and if you're confident the Shadow Ball will hit, run toward them and perform the inputs as mentioned earlier. However, if the charge of Shadow Ball is too much, it will hit them off the ground and either turn the setup into a 50-50 or make you not be able to get it at all. Other ways to get this can be doing it out of shield if your opponent does something unsafe, or getting it off of forward air and back air. These are more difficult to get though, since out of shield will depend on spacing, and that doing it from forward or back air will most likely put them in a 50-50. It'll be best to go for the reliable punish most times off any of the moves shown unless your execution's on point, or if you just want to try and style on your opponent. Make sure to make your disables count in general though, as you can get punished heavily for missing due to it having a lot of whiff recovery and being really unsafe on block. It is overall another high risk, high reward attack in Mewtwo's moveset, so while you shouldn't be spamming it, the payoff for landing it is most certainly worth going for. Confusion is a move that has great utility functioning both as a command grab and a reflector. This makes Mewtwo do well against projectile-based characters, and with its good range, it allows him to keep his distance while setting back their attacks. However, being a command grab is where this move really shines, and because of his normal grab range being subpar, it could be better to do Confusion in some cases since it serves the same purpose of getting your opponent out of shield. It is active for 4 frames, and when it lands, it will make your opponent spin and leave them in tumble, and the higher percent they are at, the higher the frame advantage Mewtwo has. This can let you scout out what your opponent may do after they are out of the animation, allowing the possibility for mix-ups and big punishes. It can make them use a panic move, air dodge, or jump out, which you can punish respectively by shielding or moving out of the way, waiting with a stronger attack, or meet them at the spot they jump to. Though you really can't get any true combos from Confusion in most cases, you may still be able to get follow-ups if you condition them not to press buttons after, which can net you some good damage, or even take the stock. At around 140%, it can actually lead to a forward air kill confirm on almost all of the cast, making Mewtwo that much more scarier to fight at high percent due to his already good kill power. If you want to know more on this setup and how much frame advantage Mewtwo has for each percent range, Gimr has a video that goes into more depth about it, which will be linked in the description below. Though it can be awkward to find a time to go for this confirm, a safe situation to use it can be doing it out of shield when your other options can't reach your opponent. Be sure to buffer it out of your jump when going for the Confusion confirm in general, as your opponent will be able to jump or air dodge to avoid it if you do it grounded. Also, the characters that are able to escape this with no problem at all are Luigi with his Cyclone and Bayonetta with their Bats Within, so make sure to bait these out. Confusion has other applications as well, which adds on to its utility. It can be used in disadvantage such as helping you get off the ledge if your opponent holds shield, help stall your recovery, or to help you land. Mewtwo struggles in this area of the game due to his floaty nature and big frame, so being able to mix it up in multiple ways can definitely help with this problem. Make sure you're not doing any of these in predictable ways though, because this can easily be counterplayed and punished if it's red. Confusion overall has a lot of utility, and while some of the situations to use it can be specific, it is all around a solid move. Teleport is your main way to recover and get back on stage. It has decent startup, covers a long distance, and gives Mewtwo 11 frames of intangibility, making it pretty difficult for your opponent to edgeguard. Using it in tandem with Confusion and Shadow Ball can give him even more mix-ups to how he can get back on stage, and this could potentially let him punish opponents who try to recklessly edgeguard or ledge trap him. Teleport does have some downsides though, as it requires a bit of precision if you're trying to recover from different angles, and it's also pretty susceptible to 2 frames due to teleport recoveries in general being more vulnerable to it. However, if you recover from certain angles and distances, you'll be completely invulnerable, avoiding all chances of you getting 2 framed. If you're not careful recovering from these angles though, you will miss the ledge if you're not in line with it, which can get you punished if you land on stage, or make you just outright lose your stock. Teleport does have other uses outside of recovering, as you can use it to give you a quick way to land and get out of being juggled, or to escape platform pressure. This does have pretty low landing lag compared to most up specials in the game, so it is possible to get away from your opponent unscathed. However, you only want to use it as a mix-up since they can still punish you if you land too close to them, or they can just read where you're going to go. It should be used with the other moves Mewtwo has in order to be unpredictable as possible, which he desperately needs to do given his weakness in this area. Mewtwo is also able to teleport cancel on the edges of the stage and platforms, ignoring all the lag that comes from it. This can be pretty useful for edgeguard mix-ups since jumping off stage can be easily reacted to, and canceling on the platforms can help keep your opponent on their toes. Though these can be situational, doing it in different ways can make yourself unpredictable in your approaches and escape options, and possibly even help push your advantage. However, the timing and spacing to do most of these teleport cancels are extremely precise, so if you mess up, it will leave you wide open to a big punish, or cause you to overshoot the edge and lose your stock. If you're going to incorporate this into your gameplay, be sure to only really use it as a mix-up, and that you have it down pat to where you're doing it with complete confidence. Also, if you want to know more on how to master teleport cancels, be sure to watch NotBae's videos that go into full detail about it, which will be linked in the description below. Forward throw is Mewtwo's most damaging throw. Although you really can't combo off of it, it still has pretty low cooldown, meaning you can run over and possibly cover your opponent's next option. You can occasionally combo off of it into a dash attack on bigger characters, but this is generally a mix-up and usually only works if they don't jump. They can also DI the throw at higher percents to mitigate some of the damage, which reduces a bit of its effectiveness, but you have other throws for that situation that will get mentioned in a bit. This could still be one of your go-to throws at low percents to rack on some cheap damage, so definitely keep it in mind as an option to go for. Back throw and up throw are Mewtwo's kill throws, and they are some of the strongest in the game in their respective categories. For back throw, it can kill your opponent pretty early near the ledge, and even if you throw them from mid-stage, it can still be strong enough to put them far enough off stage to set up for an edge guard or ledge trap situation. For up throw, it should only be used if you grab your opponent from a spot where you think back throw will not take the stock, though this can be even better if you catch them on a platform since it would be able to kill much earlier. These are definitely your go-to options if your opponent wants to turtle up and shield against you at high percent, so be sure to recognize the situation to know which one to do. Down throw is an option that can be used to set up small combos and mix-ups. This used to be Mewtwo's worst throw, but thanks to one of the previous patches that decreases ending lag, it has greatly increased in utility. At mid to high percents, it will start to combo into forward air for good damage and possibly put your opponent off stage, or even take their stock. This is also a pretty dangerous setup at the ledge because if you catch them slipping, you have the chance to steal their stock much earlier. Do keep in mind that these down throw setups can be avoided if they DI away, but you can mix up with forward throw to get more damage, or wait for a possible air dodge to get a harder punish. Your opponent may not always be ready to DI though if you do it quick enough, and its decent startup can make it somewhat difficult to react to. Even if they do react, it still puts them in a small frame trap situation to where you'll be able to follow up with another fast option, and still possibly get the KO anyway if they're at high percent. Down throw is also incredibly useful under platforms as well. At mid to high percents, it will put your opponent in a tech situation, allowing you to possibly follow up with any aerial of your choice, up smash, or even disable. All of Mewtwo's throws are good to the point where shielding against them can be really scary, which could make your opponent do panic defensive options that you can easily take advantage of and punish them hard for it. Mewtwo is a character that boasts one of the best offensive kits in the game, which comes with high damage output and combo and kill potential. With this game mainly revolving around Shadow Ball, it is usually optimal for him to charge it on a consistent basis in order to force a reaction out of his opponent, so he can use moves like forward or neutral air, down tilt, or grabs to start and keep pushing his offense. Having the balance of a good hot and cold game is key to create his openings, and to keep him from being overly passive or aggressive in the neutral. The speed and versatility in his movement also gives him the chance to keep his opponents on their toes, but there is one crucial factor that keeps Mewtwo from really abusing this and being an even better character: his tail. Since his tail gets exposed in multiple ways, along with the fact that he's a big floaty lightweight, it is important for him to be more aware of his spacing so he can reduce the number of times he gets punished for it. It is why he's considered such a polarizing character, because although he can rack up damage very quickly, he could also have the same done to him due to his poor disadvantage state. He does have plenty of ways to stall and mix up his landing and recovery to help mitigate this weakness, which is crucial to his survivability and his general success. Overall, he's considered average and maybe even worse by most, but has many explosive tools that can be expressed in different ways, and gives him such high potential as a character if used well. With there being plenty of room for growth, and him possibly being one change away from being a bigger threat, he is a character that definitely has the chance to be pushed even further. Thank you so much for watching. This video wouldn't have been possible without Anbil, who helped me with a lot of the Mewtwo information, and Ari, who helped with the footstool disable setup. So be sure to check out their social media if you want to check out some clean clips of Mewtwo, or him getting screwed over by his tail. Also, make sure to check out the players listed if you want to see the different styles of the character. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.